All right. So, good morning, everyone who's on the live. And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to anybody who's joining on the replay or watching later. I hope you're all well. And this is a beautiful solstice day, the welcoming of the, or should I say, the incoming of these higher light and the longest day of the year. We all know what the solstice is, so I don't need to go into a speech about the solstice. But anyway, welcome to all these higher light codes. And I hope that today, this guided healing journey will help you to free up some space internally as you can let go of some energies and beliefs and patterns that no longer serve you, and that ultimately that you can create that internal space within to just so that you can anchor these higher light codes. And I think it's nice to receive these light codes as abundance codes. I think it's really relative today to just see them all as abundance codes, key codes, and that's what we'll kind of be anchoring today through the journey. So you may either leave your video on, or if you prefer to turn your video off and just sit back and listen. I'm just going to run through a little bit of just information about what we're going to be doing, or the kind of components of what we're doing, so that the components of what we're doing, or what this whole session is about, is basically helps you to embody the intention of the work that we're actually doing. So this kind of first 20 minutes or so, that I'll just be running through a little bit of information about that, so that you can be a little bit more familiar. And I know that I'm not going to be telling you anything that you don't already know, but hopefully for those of you who are new to me and to my work, I work through the Akashic record. And we work with the Akashic record because ultimately when we're receiving information through our records, because it's ultimately our subconscious, it's our higher mind, that fifth dimensional mental body aspect. And when we're releasing through the Akashic record, we're releasing instantaneously. So it is really, really powerful work. So you can just sit back and receive the information. You can close your eyes as I just guide you through this first introduction. And then, of course, we'll get into the journey. The journey will last, it will probably be between 45 minutes and an hour, depending. So it might sound like it's intense, but as you go through the journey, it might sound like it's long, but it's not actually, and it will pass very quickly. But I will pause for moments of reflection. So I invite you to, if you haven't already, grab a notepad and pen, because you might need one. You might receive some information, you might receive some insight. You may, if you don't receive any insight during the session, you may receive some guidance when we finish, when we come back, that you might want to write down, because it's quite easy when we start coming, because we're in that theta brainwave state, and this is the mindset where we're receiving this higher guidance. And so as I bring you back at the end, and we come back into through theta to alpha back into the beta conscious mind, it's easy to just forget. So if you've got a notepad and pen handy, you can immediately write things down if you need, and it's really important. But anyway, if you've got your phone, we've all got notes on our iPhones these days, so you can always journal on your phone as well, as long as you are not watching the session on your phone, of course, in which case you may not be able to. So yeah, just sit back and relax, and just take a few moments to come into the center space. Just breathing in, breathing out. Just taking a few moments to land in your heart space, land in your center. Allowing yourself to arrive in this present moment. And giving yourself permission to be fully present and to eliminate all distractions just for this short space so that you may hear, receive wisdom, guidance. Because ultimately you are here because you have chosen to help to heal the pains of your ancestors, and you've chosen that in this lifetime. On some level, there's perhaps a contract that you came into this lifetime with to do some ancestral work. And you may already be doing this level of work, or this may be something new to you. And I'm not going to be sharing anything that you don't already know. We're all here, we're all wise, we all have this wisdom. But I truly hope this session brings you to the point that you're able to release some financial worries, scarcity mindset, releasing any blocks and limitations around receiving prosperity and wealth, so that you may receive money effortlessly with ease and grace, and not just money, just abundance on all levels, and how that money arrives to you. And this may arrive to you through clients if you're a healer or an entrepreneur, or it may arrive to you in unexpected ways. So give yourself permission to allow yourself to receive abundance in unexpected ways. Because we focus so much on trying to control everything through our work that we forget that the universe is abundant and it can deliver things to us unexpectedly. And that could be good things and painful experiences. But allow yourself to receive the good and the joyful experiences. And the guidance that we will be doing as I guide you through this journey today, it is a general guidance as we are a group. So I will invite you with suggestions to go through specific processes and ask specific questions, because ultimately we're all in a different space, we're all in a different frequency, and we all have different blocks and limitations. We also have different perspectives around money, wealth, prosperity, and abundance. And I do go much deeper with clients' specific needs and issues in personal one-to-one sessions, of course, but when we're doing group work, it's kind of general guidance. So I will pause for spaces. And as I mentioned already, we're doing the work through the Akashic record. So I will guide you when we begin the journey to open the Akashic record of your ancestor, your ancestral lineages. And ultimately, this will allow you to tap into your own subconscious and what you're holding at subconscious, unconscious level, which is where everything is recorded and held, so that when you're releasing from this level of consciousness, as I previously mentioned, it is instantaneous. However, it's really important to know that the work needs supporting with tangible, right aligned action, so that the clearing work that we're doing within your record is supported, because we are clearing at quantum level, but we need to meet the blocks and limitations at the level at which we've created them or inherited them. And that means understanding how these blocks are affecting you and impacting you, what patterns they are creating, what limitations they're creating, what patterns you may be aware of that you have inherited, that you can see being reflected and mirrored through your bloodline, so that you can ultimately course correct. Because it's course correcting that changes the sequence of events that can continue to happen through consequences. And course correcting means self-observation. It means recognizing when a fear or a worry or anxiety or any other trigger arises, and then pausing and reflecting on that trigger rather than reacting, so that you can respond differently, and that will allow you to then make a new choice because you've recognized that old pattern. And then you pause, no, I'm not going to repeat this. And this is how we repattern and reprogram. So you can make a new choice from a higher level of awareness and bypass the ego reaction, that wounded, because quite often we're responding from the inner child, the wounded inner child. And ultimately, this is how we can cancel the patterns, because what we're doing is overriding the default neural pathways. And by course correcting, we create a new pattern which creates a new neural pathway that will then create progressive state of alternative awareness, if that makes sense. So if this resonates with you, feel free to drop a heart or a thumbs up or something in the box if you want, or just give me a thumbs up. And I know that it's, again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it's, sometimes we just need a little bit of a reminder, because ultimately it's easy to get lost in the forest. We can't see the forest for the trees. And it is why we need other healers sometimes. We need the guidance of healers and mentors that can help us to see what we can't, because we're literally in the thick of the forest. And ultimately, it's why I invested in learning a strategic protocol many years ago to use when I get lost, so that I've got an actual structure. Whereas, when we're lost and we're stuck in that space of overwhelm, it's hard to think and to know, what do I need to do? Because we're just lost in the thick of everything. We're lost in an overwhelm with nervous systems dysregulated. But when you've got a strategy, we can go to that strategy without even thinking about it, and start recognizing, through the protocol that we're working with, which is ultimately why I repurposed and recreated the learnings that I have done and turn it into a course for my community. Because it's pretty easy to release these blocks once we can identify the source. And by the source, I mean understanding what our beliefs, patterns, imprints, this fear, is it mine? Is it self-created through childhood wounding? Is it something I've inherited from my immediate family, my parents, my caregivers, my grandparents? Is it something that's come through the ancestral line? Is it indoctrination? Have I inherited it from the collective field, from school, from other children, from teachers, etc.? So for those of you who muscle test, and I recommend to work with the body sway technique. I know some of you who've been working with me for a while, we've done this in the trainings, but working with the body sway technique, using your body as a pendulum, that you can muscle test to identify these specific blocks and understanding. So you can ask, for example, I have a poverty block, or I have a poverty limitation. It doesn't have to be a block, it could be a limitation. And if you receive a yes, then you can ask, is this mine? And you may receive a yes or a no. And it can be both. You can ask, is it inherited? Because as I see it, when we can understand the source and the origin, then we can release it at the source, at the origin, and it will be, the healing work will be more profound, because it's releasing it at its origin, at its level, And you could have inherited it and you could have self-created it. It could be both. But ultimately, when we're clearing it at that level. So you're bringing that energy into the intention. So when you clear it, we're clearing it at that inherited level, whether it's yours or as I said, inherited. And understanding, more importantly, is understanding how you're being impacted, because it's not just about knowing that you've got a block or a limitation, or you're carrying a belief, a negative belief or a limiting belief around money. It's also understanding, how is it impacting me? How would my life look if I didn't have this particular block or this particular limitation? Because that's important to have that in your mind, is how would my life look? And when you can tap into the frequency of how your life would look, then it can help, it creates a vacuum for you then to start organically releasing and organically attracting, because ultimately this has all been recorded in your subconscious. So it's actually creating a probability for you. So you just need to create the space and take the aligned action, because asking the angels to heal it and release it just doesn't cut it, I'm afraid. You have to do the tangible reprogramming work, and ultimately you have to meet the problem at the same level that it was created. So having a strategy or a method will help you, because fluffing over it with 5D positivity, sure, you will feel better for a little while, but ultimately it just masks over it until the next trigger pops up and the pattern starts to play out again. And ultimately, I've been there, I've done this, and working on our money blocks, especially as healers. I think healers and spiritual practitioners struggle most with this, because there's this false belief that we shouldn't be charging for healing, and we shouldn't be charging for energy work, because spirituality is free and energy is free. And there's this poverty mindset around healers, that having money is not spiritual, and it's not true. This is just a false belief that has been created by the system to keep us all subservient. And I was one of those too. We just have to tap into the energy of understanding that water's free, fruit and vegetables are free, but we still pay for them. So we can start to shift our mindset around and start tapping into your values. What am I worth? What are my values? And respecting money, because it is a commodity. It is an energy. And and what I mean by being a commodity, it's used as a commodity to pay for everything. We live in a monetary system. There's no getting away from this. And sure, we can create our own gardens and grow our own food, but we still have to pay into a monetary system until these systems collapse, which they are starting to. A lot of people are waking up to these systems, and a lot of people are stepping into these sovereignty, and a lot of people are starting to step into common law and understanding about maritime law and the birth certificate scam and all this other stuff that's happening, and stepping out of it, understanding that this is all matrix programming to keep us enslaved within the system. Again, I know that you're all aware of this, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But ultimately, I worked hard on my negative beliefs. I grew up in poverty with my family, and I worked hard on my self-talk, because ultimately it's self-talk, self-criticism, self-doubt, worthlessness. When we grow up in poverty, which might resonate with some of you, growing up in difficulties, it does leave you feeling worthless. And because we've inherited this worthlessness from our parents, we've grown up around potential trauma around poverty, from genocides and famines. And my parents were war babies, and some of you will likely be, your parents were war babies. So we've grown up in famines. But ultimately, I trained and studied, and I learned a lot about how the matrix works, how the systems work, the control. I learned about the mind matrix, how the mind works. I followed Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Joe Vitale. These were my influencers, and they're very much they influence my training programs and the work that I do. So ultimately, I deprogrammed myself And so this is what I teach others to do and help others with. Because until you do that, until you start doing that inner work and being your own observer, then the likelihood is you will continue with the same mindset and continue with the same blocks that we can ultimately clear here today, just like this, instantaneously. But if you continue with the same mindset, you're just going to create new blocks. So it's, it's when you start seeing yourself, questioning and criticizing yourself, it's changing that narrative and recognizing that your value and your worth, and honoring yourself and the transformations that you have already, acknowledge what you've already come through, because you are not the same person now that you were yesterday or last week or last year. You've come a long way already. So acknowledge your achievements and how far you've come, and acknowledge what you're actually gifting others, the transformation that you're offering people, even if you're not an active healer, that the likelihood is you are healing people with your energy. Otherwise you would not be here. This work is a responsible work. It takes a lot of courage to do this level of work. But ultimately, my money blocks are a work in progress. And I've gone from this poverty mindset and being in a constant state of fear and lack to trusting the flow and knowing that I always have enough. Because if we say I will always have enough, then we're putting something into the future. So it's in the now. I always have enough. Money flows to me effortlessly, in and out. I give and receive in equal balance. And I just keep telling myself over and over. And on the rare occasion when things might get a little bit tight, I've had an unexpected bill, I just know, I ask myself, what can I create now? What can I do to attract money into my life, to invite money into my life? And I will just create a webinar or a little course or something. I will just do something. So we all have this ability, and that's how I'm creating something at level of action. I'm doing something tangible. I've got all these amazing gifts, and I can just go and do something that's going to, one, help my community, and two, bring me some money. When I'm looking to do a training program, I'm not really fluid at the minute. So I never say I can't afford it. It's always not really very affluent at the minute with finance, but I can do something that's going to bring this money into me and that will pay for this course. And then I will just ask my higher self, all right, show me what to do. And my higher self will always, boom, the next day I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning with some download of something to do, and I just do it, and then boom, there's mine. That's paid for me. So ultimately you can create programs and you can do something. You can invite a client. All right, I need 2 clients to pay for this. Okay, higher self, bring me 2 clients. Or you can ask your universe, your YO universe, or your innerverse, not the angels, your higher self. Your higher self is you in another higher reality field, your future you. So you ask your higher self to help you. And this is the action that you can take, not daydreaming and hoping that the law of attraction or manifestation works, because it doesn't work like that. But yeah, just coming back to this narrative, if you do find that you have a narrative, or you've been telling yourself a narrative, or there's some aspect of you that believes that money is either evil, or wealth is not spiritual, or wealthy people are not good people, again, just knowing that this is a false generational belief program that has been implanted by the controllers, by the frequency fences, to keep us all subjugated. So, and what this will do is keep you stuck in endless cycles of lack and scarcity and fear, or even self-doubt when it comes to money and finance. It is a collective block. So if you just imagine all of the good that you could do for humanity if you had more, it's not about you having more and being wealthy. It's like, imagine, what could I do with all this money? If I have this wealth, I could do so much for charities. I could give charities. I could help the animals. I could do all this amazing stuff. So it's not just for your own selfish needs. It's you're using it to help your family, your children. My desire is I want to buy my parents a bungalow in the next couple of years that they can live out the rest of their days in a nice house and a nice place. And this is what I'm working towards now. So it's nice to have things to work towards that we can gift other people, because this is how the universe rewards us. We're creating a vacuum for abundance because we want to do something good with it. So just imagine that financial freedom, that inner peace, that sovereignty, and living life on your terms. If you had all this money, and being able to help your friends and your family without worry. Because the flip side of that is scarcity mindset, guilt, shame, anxiety around money, or feeling unworthy, undervalued, just paying bills to survive. So what we're doing today is we're going to go through the journey to help you to release all this. And it's not just releasing it on an ancestral level, we're releasing it on all levels. So you're releasing it at your own core level, something that you may have self-created. But ultimately, I do find that a lot of our poverty consciousness and scarcity consciousness is rooted in old generational programs. And even that we have created it ourselves, the origin of it comes from, whether it's transgenerational, intergenerational, it has come through indoctrination. So we're going through the journey, we're going to release all of this outdated generational poverty and scarcity programs that are holding you and your loved ones back, and to unlock this abundant wealth potential, which is our divine right as earth souls. We are earth keepers, it is our divine birthright. And we're going to activate our personal and collective wealth and prosperity codes, activating our wealth blueprint, and embody the vibration of worthiness and empowerment and abundance, and collapsing all these old timelines, these ancestral timelines, these trauma timelines. But understanding, how scarcity mindset affects you, because it's all that there's never enough, never having enough. And it's not just, it doesn't always have to be scarcity, doesn't always have to be around money. It could be anything, but generally we're focusing on, the financial side of it. But it can stop you from spending, fear of spending, and fear of actually living, fear, a risk, fear of change, fear of doing anything, fear of spending anything, low self-worth, guilt and shame around money, and having anxiety about money, stress about money, constantly being in this instability and not being able to relax, or obsessively budgeting, which is just so dysregulating for the nervous system. And also we can have, distrust of other people who have money. And we can also have patterns of overgiving or under-receiving, or undergiving and over-receiving, being takers. And all these unconscious repetition cycles, the energetic and emotional blocks that come with all of this, the feelings of fear and anger, or, just feeling stuck and sabotaging. So muscle testing is key to understanding at what level you're carrying, a particular block, and understanding the cultural narratives or the family narratives, so that you can address these blocks on a deeper level, and you can learn to set healthier boundaries around your financial goals. This is really important, because a lot of people, they have not embodied, or they don't have any values, self-values or boundaries around finance. So if you haven't already, one key component that worked for me, and I use this with my clients in my one-to-ones, is have 3 or 5 core values. What are your most important values? And for me, was freedom was my number 1 value, and independence. And I asked myself, what do I need to gift me freedom and independence? And that was money. So money became my 3rd core value. And that's how much I love and respect money, because it gives me the freedom and the independence and the sovereignty to do what I want when I want and not have to rely. I've grown up with controlling father. I had a controlling partner that I almost married. And thankfully I could see myself in my relationship repeating being in a controlling relationship. Of course, when we grow up in a controlling environment, then of course we attract that same energy. But I understood this from a young age. So the first thing when I came out of that relationship, I told myself I'm never going to allow myself to be controlled ever again. That was a really powerful vow that I set to myself, and that's been my driving force behind everything that I've done. And I don't work with failure consciousness. Failure is not even in my vocabulary, apart from when I'm talking to people about it. Nothing's ever a failure. Everything is a lesson and an opportunity for growth and an opportunity for healing. So anyway, coming into the session, understanding for those of you who haven't worked with me before, who haven't worked with the Akashic record, everything has an Akashic record. Whether, we've all got our individual Akashic record, we have, animals, plants, we have collective records, the planet has an Akashic record, and our ancestry, each of our ancestral lineages has its own Akashic record. So this is what we're going to tap into today to heal at this core level. And ultimately, when we tap into the Akashic record, because we're tapping into the fifth dimensional mental body frequency, we're working at that higher mental body plane, which is the super consciousness or the subconscious, then we're releasing at soul level. And as I've said already, which is basically the core reason of why our energy has fragmented and it gets stuck in other timelines or other time vectors, basically the past. And so we're not just working to release this for ourselves today. By collapsing these timelines and doing this work, we're helping to release our ancestors' energy. So if there are any of our ancestors that are earthbound because part of their energy has fragmented and it's stuck in an old past trauma timeline or another dimensional reality field, another time vector, what we're doing is we're helping them to retrieve, as we collapse these old timelines and we heal these pains, that they may retrieve their fragmented soul aspects that were lost, so that they can liberate themselves and move forward. So this is a really beautiful, it's a beautiful gift that we're doing for our loved ones, our ancestors, our past departed ancestors, our ancestors in spirit, our living loved ones, and our future generations. So I do recommend to have some tissues handy, because it may bring up some emotional energy for you. I may be already triggering some emotional memory for you. But we can also, when we go into the record of our ancestry, that, we can see some painful memories, or we can feel some really deep, dense energies. But what I do is, and this is really important, I invite you to not engage with the past and with that story, but rather be the observer and witness the story. So you're not going into the emotional energy of what you're witnessing from your ancestors, that an ancestor or a collective may want to show you. Allow yourself to observe it. And that doesn't mean to say that it's not going to bring up some emotion for you. It may, but just allow yourself to observe it, because ultimately we want to be able to be in a space where we can heal it and release these painful imprints from our own body, because we are carrying this for our ancestors and from our immediate family, our mother, father, grandparents. So we will be doing some cord cutting and releasing. So, okay. Just allow yourself to receive all of that knowledge and information. And allow yourself to begin to take deeper breaths. And as you inhale, holding for the count of 4, if it feels safe for you. And exhale for the count of 4 or 6, however your external breath may feel. And then pause for 4. Inhaling again for 4. Pause for 4 breaths, 4 counts. And then exhale for 4 or 6. Trying to make the exhalation longer than the inhalation. Allow your body to soften and feel yourself connected to the earth. Feel that groundedness. And imagine that you are growing roots out of your body. And these roots are extending downward into the very core of the crystalline grid. And feel yourself connecting to the inner earth core, to the frequencies of the Gaia consciousness, which is 8th dimensional frequency. Give yourself permission to relax and give yourself permission to be 100% open to receiving the wisdom intelligence of your own higher self intelligence and the wisdom intelligence of your ancestors when we come to the point where we're inviting them in. And I invite you to create a clear channel of communication between all of your consciousnesses. So you may recite something like, I now create a clear channel of communication between my subconscious mind, my conscious mind, my unconscious mind, and my superconscious mind. All of my consciousnesses are now aligned, connected, and working together in unity and harmony for my highest path and purpose. And what this does, it's you're creating a command, so there's no resistance between one level of consciousness to the other. Everything's fully connected and working together. And give yourself permission to be led by your higher self, that you may bypass all judgments and opinions of the ego mind. And give yourself permission to let go of anything that is no longer serving your highest path and purpose, so that you may receive healing at quantum level, at soul level. So remember, you are the programmer. So when you make these commands, this is so. And now imagine a warm, vibrant gold light above you. The light of the great spiritual sun, or the central sun. And this is gently descending over your body, creating a sphere of protection around your biofield. And this golden sphere permeates your inner body structure as you breathe in this golden light, breathing it into each cell, each system of your body, and breathing it into the blood and the bones. This light is a safe, loving, and protective container surrounding you. Feel it expanding outward with each out-breath, filling the whole of your room, the whole of your space. And on the external perimeter of this golden sphere, imagine a golden etheric fire. And this golden etheric fire seals this sphere so that nothing from an external source may enter. So you can set that intention that this etheric fire surrounding on the external perimeter is a seal of protection, only allowing in organic light, and anything inorganic or uninvited will be neutralized and transmuted through the energy of this fire. So you've now created this sacred space, this sacred container, this sacred healing space to hold you and your ancestors. And I invite you to now connect with your higher self intelligence, just making that connection that you're communicating with your true, organic, eternal higher self intelligence. And as you connect with your inner higher self intelligence, this true organic part of you that resides in the higher dimensions, that can see your future, your past, your present, just ask your higher self intelligence to assist you to release any money blocks, prosperity blocks, wealth blocks, any abundance blocks, anything that has been self-created or anything that you have inherited from your bloodlines or the collective consciousness. And ask that you release all of these blocks, all limitations, and any fears that you may have that are associated with any of these blocks, that you're releasing them on a personal level and on a business level. And now imagine yourself standing in an open field in the middle of a beautiful, vibrant forest under a starry sky, and feel yourself connected to the beautiful vibration of the earth, grounding energy. Allow yourself to smell the earth, the trees, the grass. So you're remote viewing yourself in this beautiful grounded space. And in the distance, imagine a campfire, a soft golden glow, magnetizing you. And as you walk towards it, you feel calm and supported because you know that this is a sacred meeting space for your ancestors. And I invite you to call in the higher intelligence of either your mother or your father. I recommend it's good to work with just one bloodline, and then you can repeat this journey again later with the other bloodline, because this will allow you to tap into the energy rather than trying to do everything that you can tap into. specific patterns of one bloodline. So if you're not sure, ask your higher self to show you which bloodline shall you work with today, the mother line or the father line. And then invite in the higher intelligence of either your mother or your father. And you may become aware of the presence of the soul body of your mother or your father. You may see them in spirit. And then I invite you to invite the higher intelligence of any bloodline ancestors from your mother line or father line who wish to join you today. Letting them know that this is a safe and loving container, and that we are here to help to release some generational ancestral patterns, fears, beliefs, trauma. And as you call forth the spirit energy of your ancestors, you may become aware of shadowy figures or spirit energy beginning to surround you. You may even see clearly some of these ancestors. And I invite you now, as you pull in these ancestors, to connect with the Akashic record of your collective ancestral lineage. So imagine above your space, there is a portal of bright white crystalline light, and this light represents the Akashic record of your bloodline. So we're just opening this portal to allow the work that we do is working through the Akashic record. And you may become aware of a portal full of scriptures. You may see a living library of books. You may see energy. You may see a light. Just ask your higher self to show you or present to you the ancestral record. And this will appear differently to each of you. But trust and allow yourself to imagine. So as we work with the power of our imagination, this is visualization. What we're doing is we're activating the subconscious mind, which is the imagination. It's our superconscious. And if you don't see anything, if you just see a void, just sense and set the intention that you are opening your Akashic record, the ancestral record. And let your ancestors know that you are here to assist, to help to break these patterns of your lineages so that you can liberate yourself and your loved ones, past, present, and future. Because you, me, we are the key holders to liberating ourselves and the collective consciousness from all of this trauma, this poverty and financial limitations. And observe as you are all in a circle around the fire. Take a moment to notice all of this spirit energy around this fire and feel the energy of love and support, as they are also here to hold you in a container of love and wisdom. So allow yourself to tap into the vibration of unconditional love and compassion. Allow yourself to look into their eyes. Observe what they're wearing, from which timeline. You may be aware of familiar faces, unknown faces, or you may simply feel the energy. And I invite you to begin a communication with your ancestors. You may already have your own dialogue, but if you haven't, then you can say something like, show me what patterns or beliefs about money and abundance have been passed down to me so that I may better understand how to heal and release these pains. You may already be aware of specific patterns. So ask your ancestors to show you and to show you the origin, the experience, so you can better understand where to focus the healing. And this may go back decades or hundreds, even thousands of years. But remember to observe and witness. Stay in your power. Ask your higher self to show you what you need to do in order to release and move forward. You might hear words or sense words. You may receive messages or images, or you may feel. Allow yourself to tap into any emotions of scarcity, of fear, of guilt or shame. And allow yourself to trust what arises without judgment, knowing that we will release these blocks together. So take some time. I'll give you a few more moments to ask to be shown any patterns that you are unaware of, any hidden patterns, any hidden fears, any hidden blocks. And to show you the origin, from which generation. And just feel that vibration of love surrounding you, holding you in that space. And I invite you to make any notes that you may need to make as any patterns or blocks or fears arise. And notice where you may feel any heaviness or discomfort or any tension in your body, where you may be holding any trauma imprints or you're holding the energy, this dense energy around specific fears or beliefs. And allow yourself to pull in golden light into any areas of tension or heaviness. Just allow yourself some time to feel the weight. And before we release, it's really good to get into the actual energy of a particular pattern or a fear or a belief. So I invite you to tap into the energy of any scarcity or fear or guilt, shame, frustration, resentment or bitterness, any anger, hatred, distrust, anything that comes up. Feel the energy and observe it as a dark cloud around you. It may be a cord attached to a specific body part. It may be something that's hooked into an energy center or a specific layer of your auric shield. It may just feel like a very, very heavy, dense, dark emotion. But knowing this is not you, this is the energy or the energies that you have been carrying from your lineage. And before we release them, I invite you to take a moment to observe how this particular inherited belief or pattern of fear, how it has been impacting you, how it has been affecting you. What symptomatic blocks it may have created. And then I invite you to ask your higher self, your universe, your why or universe to show you how your life would look without this limitation, this block, this scarcity or poverty consciousness. Ask your higher self to show you a higher probability reality field that is available to you without this limiting consciousness. And not just for you, your loved ones, your family, your children, your pets, your life, your clients, your loved ones, your partners, your relationships. And whenever you feel ready, I invite you to bring your awareness back to that golden etheric fire around the perimeter of your shield and see it begin to intensify and grow brighter and warmer. And this fire is the neutralizer. It is your power and it represents your divine essence. Allow it to begin to permeate your body and fields, and observe as it begins to gently and effortlessly neutralize and dissolve all cords and clouds of density that represent these emotions or these blocks, these beliefs. And observe these cords as they begin to turn to space dust. And as they return to space dust, they become a 0 point neutral energy. And observe as all of these clouds and cords drop into this space dust, drops into a body of pure crystalline water at your feet. And as the fire touches each of these cords or clouds of density that is associated with a block, a fear, or a pattern, just say, I release the belief that there is never enough. I release the belief that there is never enough. I release the fear associated with this belief. I release fears of change. I release guilt and shame around money or wealth. I release all distrust and struggle, and any other patterns or fears that came up for you. Just allow yourself to make that statement now that you release whatever it is. And just see everything being neutralized and dropped into that body of crystalline water. Water purifying and transmuting and cleansing everything. And repeating after me, I state your name, ask my higher self to bring forward all of my Akashic records holding poverty programming, including all that is held in my ancestral records. I now revoke, rescind, release, complete, fulfill, unhook, cancel, burn, transcend, dissolve, diffuse, and remove all poverty vows, curses, contracts, bindings, all hexes, pacts, promises, agreements, oaths, all allegiances and alliances, all loyalties, commitments, and programming held in my Akashic records, including those that have been picked up by examples or modeling from my parents or grandparents that are keeping me locked in perpetual lack and poverty traps. I release, revoke, and delete all poverty and scarcity vows that have been inherited and energetically imprinted, all those created by my own judgments or stated out loud during ceremony, all those that were consciously made to live up to or down to my family's expectations in any lifetime that created a false conclusion that I must live in poverty to be spiritual, to be holy, to be in alignment with the divine creator or God. Any beliefs or illusions that I must live in poverty to reach the kingdom of heaven, or to be rescued by the church or a spiritual savior or a government or any other organization or person, object or energy that can save me. I release all false beliefs and stories associated with any of the above. I release all false beliefs that I must adhere to family or cultural expectations, to gender expectations, to a doctrine or any other false idea that I have accepted as the truth. I relinquish all of this energy, dissolving it out of my records to transform it to the highest levels of consciousness and replace it with this truth. I create my own reality. There is always enough. I utilize my abundance according to divine truth, in alignment with my divine purpose. And I give myself permission right now to feel safe around money and to embody, embrace, and actualize financial abundance beyond my wildest dreams. I allow myself to receive limitless prosperity always. As it is spoken, so it is commanded into existence here and now. And so it is done. And feel these energies dissolving and leaving your body. Allow yourself to release everything through your breath and feel your body becoming lighter. And witness any emotions that arise through the power of this clearing as you release everything, all this energy from within your Akashic record and the Ancestral record. Breathe through each, knowing that you are safe. And allow the love and the wisdom of your ancestors to support you. Ask if they have any further information or insight to offer you right now. Just take a moment to feel that energetic shift within the collective of your ancestors, bringing that golden light into the center of the circle, creating another shield around you, a healing shield of higher golden light. And imagine there is a silver cord connecting you to each one of your ancestors in circle around the fire. And this cord is a cord of love and wisdom. It carries only love and wisdom. There is no struggle. There is no fear. There is no pain. It just is pure love. And with gratitude, I invite you to say something like, thank you, ancestors, for your strength. I release all of these patterns that no longer serve me or you. I release all the pain, all beliefs, all fear. I release all cords of trauma and poverty consciousness. And imagine that you're cutting each of these heavy cords further with a radiant sword of light. And feel the freedom as all these ties are dissolved, neutralized by the fire, neutralized by this radiant sword of light, and dropped into the body of water at your feet. And take a moment to feel your heart, connect to your heart, and feel the space you have created within you. And this space you have created within your collective ancestry, this space for abundance, trust, worthiness. And I invite you to take a moment to imagine the energy of worthiness as a vibrant emerald green light glowing at your heart. And feel the energy of this worthiness penetrate and permeate every cell of your body. And feel your vibration changing as you tap into the frequency of worthiness, noticing how your body feels, and allow this emerald bright green frequency of worthiness to permeate every cell as it creates a new open space within you. And within this vibration frequency of worthiness is the energy of abundance and prosperity. And with each in-breath, allow this light to grow. Allow it to become brighter and brighter, filling your chest, your arms, your entire body. And feel it begin to radiate outward, connecting you to the infinite abundance that the universe has to offer each and every single soul on this planet. And I invite you to repeat, I now download the key codes of wealth and prosperity. And breathe this energy into your heart, sealing these codes into your cells and your DNA. And exhale anything that stands in the way of you receiving wealth and prosperity. You may say, I release all that stands in the way of me receiving and activating the key codes of wealth and prosperity. And repeat, I now download the key codes of abundance. And breathe in these key codes. Just see them coming down from the cosmos through your crown, breathing them into your heart space, exhaling them into your cells, into your DNA. And allow yourself to release anything that prevents you receiving any level of abundance in any area of your life. And repeating, I now download the key codes of energy mastery. Breathing in these key codes. And repeating, I give myself permission to release all that prevents me from fully embodying and integrating these key codes that are an organic part of my soul blueprint. These key codes are my birthright. These key codes have been taken from me, and I now reclaim them through my own divine, sovereign free will. Just take a moment to allow all of that to integrate. And observe yourself in the center of your ancestral circle, looking around at your ancestors, all smiling, their eyes filled with pride, their hearts bursting with love for you. They all place their hands on your shoulders, blessing you with love, with strength, with freedom. And together repeating these affirmations. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of wealth and abundance. I honor and value myself. Money flows to me easily and supports my highest path. I allow myself to trust myself to create and receive prosperity. I honor my ancestors by living in freedom and abundance. I know that I always have enough. Money flows to me effortlessly. I give and receive in harmony. I give myself permission to fully receive all the divine blessings that are now coming my way. I allow the wisdom of my higher mind to communicate with me at all times, overriding all lower mind illusions and false stories. And take a moment to allow the vibration of these words to permeate your cells and rewrite all old beliefs. Allow your higher self intelligence to create new neural pathways. And ask your higher self intelligence to assist you in downloading new, more positive beliefs and patterns that serve your highest path and purpose. and visualize or imagine a golden path stretching out before you, leading you to the life of sovereignty, of financial freedom, of joy and purpose. And allow yourself to step onto this golden path and feel the vibration, the frequency, knowing that it's yours to walk. And this is leading you to a new, higher probability timeline. That timeline that you saw when you tapped into the vibration of what is possible for you without all of these limitations. And witness all old timelines of the past, personal timelines, ancestral timelines, collective timelines. Witness everything collapsing into the fire. All the energies associated with any of these old timelines are being neutralized, returning everything to a 0-point frequency. And finally, before you come back, imagine yourself with your ancestors now, that you are all planting a seed in the earth, in the very center of your circle. And this seed represents your new frequency, your new beliefs, your new intentions for abundance. And observe this seed as it begins to sprout and grow into a radiant tree of prosperity. And feel the roots of the tree connect the feet of each of your ancestors and yourself, knowing that this tree is rooted in your lineage, transforming all old struggles and pains into strength and power for all who came before and all those who will come after you. And know that you can come back to this space, to this circle at any time. And if you have any final intentions or wishes, commands, I invite you to make those now. And take a moment to feel the frequency of the emerald green light of worthiness still glowing in your heart. And if you feel you need to, then placing your hands at your heart and anchoring your energy in this space, knowing that you are carrying this light within you that serves as a reminder of your power to create abundance, and that you can activate and keep reactivating this glowing sphere at any time. And slowly, in your own time, just begin to slowly return to the room, taking nice deep breaths, feeling grounded, empowered, and free. And taking your time to come back and ground into your body, feeling the chair, the ground beneath you. And as a little bit of integration I suggest to you that if this resonates with you, that whenever you're ready to go about your day, that you buy a plant, a money plant, or a seed, and plant this either in your garden if you have one, or planting a seed in a pot in your home. And this represents your new wealth blueprint. And money plants are really, really beautiful plants to buy and nurture. And as you witness it growing, reaffirming that this is your wealth blueprint growing, and this plant or tree not only represents your new wealth blueprint, the codes that we've activated today, but your ancestral blueprint. So you may wish to give it a name and communicate with it every day and nurture this beautiful plant. And most importantly, being aware of the patterns as they may still arise, because they can be very deeply ingrained. But just remember to course correct. As I mentioned in the very beginning, before we began the journey, that you can become your own observer and course correct. And each time you become aware of a similar pattern arising, that you can ask yourself, is this true? This is one thing that really helped me. I don't know if you're familiar with Byron Katie, but this is one of her techniques. You know, when a belief arises, a thought, a judgment, is this true? And it's not, is it my truth? It's, is it true? Is it universally true? Because often it isn't. You know, beliefs are stories and justifications that we placate ourselves with, or that have been ingrained into us. So the real inner work comes, this is what inner alchemy is. It's not laying down on a couch and receiving a healing. Not that there's anything wrong with receiving a healing, but it's really putting in the effort of being your own observer. And you will be rewarded for being your own observer and doing this work. And I can say that I'm the living proof of this, living this dream life, living my dream. You know, I dreamt about this when I was 25. And when I was 30, I moved away from the UK and I went to live in Spain. And I never thought that I would be creating my own courses and teaching this work and doing all of this. You know, when I used to watch Joe Dispenza 20 years ago and think, wow, I want his job. I never thought that I would be doing this. But this determination, you know, has what's got me through. So anything is possible if you just believe in yourself. And as the saying goes, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. So just take that into your life and keep reminding yourself that you can absolutely. Everything is, it's all there for you, waiting. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to guide you. Yeah, just drop a little note into the chat if you feel, just let me know how that journey was for you. I know that sometimes when we can have a nice deep journey that we don't always want to speak, but yeah, just drop into the chat or drop a heart or a thumbs up. Just let me know you're okay, how that journey was for you. Did you stay present? Did you fall asleep? Thank you, Mia. It was very deep and joyful. Oh, thank you, Annalena. Beautiful. I will send the recording out to you all so you can repeat the journey. I recommend that you give yourself some time to allow the energies to integrate before you repeat the journey with your other bloodline. So maybe give yourself a week or two before you repeat the journey, because when you repeat the journey with the other bloodline, something else is going to come up. You're going to be presented with other patterns, other beliefs, etc. But yeah, just give yourself some time to allow this to integrate first. And I will send you the decree. Shavi, really transformational, so deeply healing, intense. Thanks, Amor. You're welcome. I'm really glad. Andrea saw my great grandmother cleaning steps in the city of London 100 years ago. Oh, wow. Wow. Beautiful. Yeah, I was getting quite emotional through that myself. So I guess I was tapping into the energy. But yeah, I hope you all had a beautiful journey. Jacqueline, very nice. Parents were exact opposites about money. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Amazing. Yeah, I'll send the decree. Carol, thank you, Mia. Hard to put into words. Felt magical. My granddad came through very strong. Anna Makey, thank you so much. Mia was very helpful. Good. I'm really pleased that you all had something. Sheila, deep coming in and out. My mother line, religion. Yeah, yeah. I mean, religion's it's massively yeah, we've all been plugged into. This is what I do with the advanced training work, that I'm helping people to unplug from all these religious anchors and crucifixion implants that we have been. I know some of you have already done this training with me, so you're already feeling that. But yeah, it's really powerful work. And also, as I said, it's, you know, it may need, you can repeat this journey as many times as you need. You might need a few times to repeat it for everything to release. I saw a lot of dark occult and religion stuff. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, religion's yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? It's a massive chord, collective chord. Unplugging from conditional money ideas. Yeah, absolutely. And it will continue because, as I've said in the beginning, when we're clearing from within the Akashic record, it is instantaneous clearing. And it's not just, you know, you're clearing these beliefs, everything that's been imprinted into your subconscious, and it's also clearing the energy around the beliefs. So be prepared for some fallout. I know some of you are already familiar with this work, that you've been working with me, so you know how the fallout can come 2 or 3 days, a week down the line, and then suddenly you get hit with this healing crisis. So just be aware. Just let everything land and integrate, and just know that you can come back to that circle and come back to that tree. And as I said, let me know if you do buy a money tree or a plant that represents your abundance tree, and yeah, how that goes for you. I saw a Grim Reaper by the campfire. Oh, okay. Well, didn't know who it was. Wow. Yeah, we can see some pretty dark stuff when we start tapping into the ancestor, especially when we did the decree, because we're literally commanding that we're clearing generational curses and hexes, and of course that can come with black magic as well. So it can start bringing all sorts of things up for us. So again, just be aware of, you know, the clearing that we do can be quite heavy. But I'll send that decree out to you so you can continue working with that decree. You can, for those of you muscle test, you can muscle test to ask how many days you need to recite the decree for it to clear at 100% level. If you need any guidance, just reach out, send me a message anytime, anybody, not a problem. Feel free to communicate with me, and drop into, for anybody watching the replay, drop into the comments any questions, any feedback, any experiences, and I'll love to communicate with you. And I'll drop my website link as well, in case anybody wants to do any personal work with me, or anybody's interested in the training programs, for those of you who haven't done the trainings with me already. But thank you so much. I hope you all have an amazing solstice, and I hope this just activates some real power and sovereignty within you, and that you all start manifesting. And think about me. I want royalties when you're all rich and famous.
Can I ask a quick
10%
question?
royalties. Yes.
Yeah, so as far as I know, Carol and Alexandra aren't in your group. So how will they receive the recording?
I will send it to their email.
Ah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I will send either to those of you who are on the live, I'll send either a WhatsApp or an email to you with the recording and the oh hi, my cat's just coming to join us, and the decree. And yeah, just keep going with it and let me know how you all get on. I'd love to hear back from you in a few days to see how you're doing. Thank you so much, everyone. Lots of love. Beautiful weekend. Thank you for allowing me to guide you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.